Hi everyone, my name is Sydney and today I'm going to be discussing Cultivating the Mind of Love by my favourite, Thich Nhat Hanh. I absolutely love this author so damn much. Like, Thich Nhat Hanh is everything and more to me. Definitely one of my top favorite authors. Another book that I absolutely loved by him is called Silence, and I actually have kind of like a mindfulness book talk slash spirituality chat video on that book, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave that in the description box down below. Speaking of Thich Nhat Hanh, I find how he writes to be absolutely magic. He's so descriptive with his imagery, but there is so much factual evidence and information that he interweaves with his imagery that it's just, honestly, I don't know what more you could want. I finished this book the same day of catching up with a friend. We went to the beach, and with her we always dive into such deep and meaningful conversations. I'm so damn grateful to her, and every single thing we talked about was mentioned in the last 100 pages of this book, which I finished that night. And I was just there like, this is everything we talked about and everything I believe in, and he's saying it back to me. It was the most beautiful reflection of my day, of the conversations I had, and the fact that I know I'm a spiritual nutter. It made me actually appreciate this book so much more. Let's go on to tell you about this beautiful little book. In Cultivating the Mind of Love, Thich Nhat Hanh gives the most unusual Dharma teaching, the story of his first love. He pairs these personal memories with his insightful commentaries on classic Buddhist teachings, including the Diamond, Lotus, Avatamsaka, and Vimalakirti Sutras. In combining personal experience and Dharma teachings, Nhat Hanh allows his readers to experience and to appreciate what is human and wonderful in all of us. He shows us how to cultivate our own mind of love and bring joy and hope to ourselves and those around us. Before I go into the spoilery section of this video, I just want to read something that Thich Nhat Hanh wrote on page 5. He said, "When a subject is interesting, you don't need to work hard to read or listen. Concentration is there without effort, and understanding is born from concentration." And I just want to say, it was so easy to keep reading and to digest it all, and this book is so good. This book is so good. I love him. I love him so much. Also, I put my little mushies in today and I'm so happy. They're really cute. My best friend made it for me. She's a legend. Thanks, Norris. I love you. So I'm going to go into the spoilery section of this video. If you haven't read this book, I highly, highly recommend it to you. Go read it, come back, and then we can talk. Or if you've already read it, or if you'd still like to stay. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. So this is on page 32. When you are serene, smiling, breathing in and out mindfully, I know that you understand. But when you are stuck in the notion of a self, a person, a living being, or a lifespan, you cannot understand the nature of my true love, which is reverence, trust, and faith. The best way to support our love is to be truly ourself, to grow and to cultivate deep self-respect. He continues to say, "Please look into the river of your own life and see the many streams that have entered it, that nourish and support you. If you see the self beyond the self, the person beyond the person, the living being beyond the living being, the lifespan beyond the lifespan, you will see that you are me and you are also her. Look back at your own first love and you will recognize that your first love has no beginning and no end. It is always in transformation." And I absolutely love this because it really highlights the importance of self-love, really, that you are so completely whole on your own. This year for me has been all about transformation, and reading things like this that just include the space for growth is so beautiful because it makes me reflect on my own journey, my own path. And for me this year, I've been through so much, but in a very good way. I feel like I have been rediscovering myself by traveling and finding parts of myself that I forgot about, which I found every single place I've been to, as well as here right now. I recently went to Byron Bay. Since being back from there, I have never felt so whole in myself, so complete in myself, and it is the most beautiful feeling. Like, I literally feel like this beaming ray of light that is so radiant and glowing, and I can't stop smiling, which is really fucking beautiful. Yeah, I don't know, there's so much happening and I feel the magic in the air, but mainly what I'm trying to say is I feel this magic through me, this power within me that I have and that I've always had, but it's only recently that I'm really paying attention to this power. This was really interesting on page 45. When a flower dies, we don't cry. We know it is impermanent. If we practice awareness of the nature of impermanence, we will suffer less and enjoy life more. If we know things are impermanent, we will cherish them in the present moment. This makes me think of a lot of different things, but mainly about how attachment is a massive thing. So from really diving into myself this year, I've really discovered how much I attach myself to things, to people. And if I use the example of people, it has always been something that I've wanted to work on, to, especially in like relationships, to not be so attached to this person, because I tend to really latch on a lot of the time. I become the person who is the ultimate giver. I put myself as second priority. And I think it's really important to remember that you are, or you should always be, first priority, always. And that you are your separate individual being, that you are allowed to do whatever you need to do in order to come back to yourself. Don't let anyone control you. And I think it's been super important to realize that when you don't attach yourself to things, you find a real sense of appreciation for when something does come into your life. If we look at, so for example, if you're in a relationship, to look at it as impermanent rather than permanent, I think there's so much that can be explored through that, and it's so much better on your mindset because you're not attached to this person. You are free. And if there's anything I've learnt from the last 4 weeks is I am free. And I don't know how I could have fucking forgotten that. Page 51. The Buddha taught us to take good care of our environment. He knew that if we take care of the trees, we take care of man. We must live our daily lives with that kind of awareness. This is not philosophy. We desperately need mindfulness for our children and their children to be safe. And I couldn't agree more with this. I personally think that we need to be looking after our Mother Nature, Gaia. We need to protect her, and in order to protect her, we have to reduce plastic. We have to let it be known. Use our voices, chant, stomp in the ground, let her feel our energy and vibration, reducing meat, going a bit more green, which has been the color of the year. So this is deep on page 63. The door is closed, preventing us from seeing the ultimate reality. What is the door? It is our ignorance, notions, discriminations, and views. The door of the stupa is in every one of us. Our teacher Buddha Shakyamuni tries to help us, saying, to open this door, I need to call back all my transformed bodies who are everywhere in the cosmos. So I love this on page 67. Then we encounter Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, a child of the earth, representing the kind of action that our earth needs most, the energy of love. When you love, you want to be fully present in order to offer your support. The Buddha says anyone who hears the name of Avalokiteshvara will overcome all suffering. Avalokiteshvara teaches the art of deep listening. If you practice that art, you overcome a lot of pain and suffering. when you are in hell consumed by anger and hatred. If you touch Avalokiteshvara in your heart, the fires will be turned into cool, refreshing water. When you are drowning in the ocean of suffering, facing countless storms and demons, if you invoke the name of Avalokiteshvara, your suffering will be transformed. You will be saved. When you are bound in chains, if you practice mindfulness of Avalokiteshvara, you will be liberated. When you feel others trying to destroy you, if you touch the love in yourself, you will not be harmed. No matter where you are, you can touch Avalokiteshvara with his wonderful capacity of being there. I love this because at the end of the day, it's all about love, isn't it? I feel like there's so much love that I have within me, and there's so much of it that I want to give and spread, you know? Love is everything, and it really is my main purpose here. Thich Nhat Hanh describes the Avatamsaka Sutra on page 83. The Avatamsaka Sutra is one of the most beautiful Buddhist scriptures. Avatamsaka means flower, ornament, garland, or wreath, or decorating the Buddha with flowers. So I'm a person who is in love with nature. I always come back to myself when I'm barefoot in the grass or when I'm in the ocean. Those are two ways for me to instantly be cleansed. For me, when I read this about flowers, and even going into more depth about it soon, just made me imagine it in my mind's eye so perfectly and beautifully. Continuing on with the Avatamsaka Sutra on page 86. Flowers are everywhere. Looking up, down, ahead, behind, to the left and to the right, we see flowers. In fact, the eyes we see with become flowers, the ears we hear with are flowers, the lips we speak with become flowers, and the hands we receive tea with become flowers in the Avatamsaka Realm. I love this so much because I see it. And I believe it. Like, I feel like I'm gonna cry. But, like, oh, there's so much beauty. Like, really, there's so much beauty, and we should all tap into that beauty. Thich Nhat Hanh continues to say, when we look into the second lotus, also the lotus flower is my favorite, of course, and see 1,000 petals, each of which is also a full lotus of 1,000 petals. We see the many in the one and the one in the many, the miracle of interbeing. So I talked about at the beginning of this video how I was in deep conversation with a friend, and we talked about how we are more than our body, we are more than our form. And once we realize that, well, this fear of death shouldn't even exist because we will forever live on. And on page 84, Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "This body is not me. The Buddha is more than form." Before passing away, the Buddha told his monks, "My friends, this is only my physical body. My Dharma body will be with you for as long as you continue to practice. Take refuge in the Dharma. Take refuge in the island of self. The Buddha is there." And oh my god, reading this gave me little chills because I definitely feel like I've had the biggest spiritual journey this year, like massively, where I feel so damn in tune with my spirituality like I've never felt before in my life. I think because I've given myself so much time for growth and so much time to reflect that I can see beyond my mind's eye. I can see beyond my reality. I see the combination of my past, present, and future all in one, and it is so beautiful, so damn special. It's just everything. Like, if you can listen, oh my god, there's more. But what I'm trying to say is, if you can listen to yourself and listen to what's around you, listen to Thich Nhat Hanh's words with a super open mind, oh, there's so much there. There's so much there. So to further this beautiful realm that I feel like I fucking live in, or even beyond this life, I am going to be there. I will meet you there if you want to join me. This is on page 89. Whenever I touch a flower, I touch the sun, and yet I don't get burned. When I touch the flower, I touch a cloud without flying to the sky. When I touch the flower, I touch my consciousness, your consciousness, and the great planet Earth at the same time. This is the Avatamsaka Realm. The miracle is possible because of insight into the nature of interbeing. If you really touch one flower deeply, you touch the whole cosmos. The cosmos is neither one nor many. When you touch one, you touch many. And when you touch many, you touch one. Like Shakyamuni Buddha, you can be everywhere at the same time. Think of your child or your beloved touching you now. Look more deeply and you will see yourself as multitudes penetrating everywhere into being with everyone and everything. I love it. I love it. We are separate beings, but we're also freaking one. Don't forget that. Oh, so this is something I freaking love, and I think you will too. On page 96, that mind never stops, manifesting all forms, countless, inconceivably many, unknown to one another. Just as a painter can't know his own mind, yet paints due to the mind, so is the nature of all things. A master painter may not know his own mind, but he draws from his own mind. The nature of phenomena in the world is like that. The nature of things, dharmas, is that they are born from our own mind. The world as it presents itself to us is a mental construction. We're in control. That's the other thing. As they say, what you think you become, and what you think you manifest into your life. I can't begin to tell you how many things I've manifested without even knowing I've manifested them into my life. The mind is a very interesting tool that you can use to further your growth. I now find a way to not let vibes from others affect how I'm feeling. I know that everyone is in their own world, and as am I. I'm in my own world. Everyone is going through shit. I'm going through shit. And when someone says something that may feel like an attack, it's how you hear that back. It's how it affects you that reveals a sense of who you are in that moment. So if you are truly, truly affected by something that person had said, it brings your insecurities and sensitivity to the door. If you don't allow it to affect you, it definitely is an example of what they said being a reflection of them and not of you. And if it does affect you, it just means that there's something you need to work on. And that's not a bad thing. There's going to be challenges all the freaking time. So we always need to be reassessing and coming back to why we're here, our main purpose, what we believe in, what we love, what are we attached to. Hey, let's release that. So speaking of manifestation, on page 105. One autumn day, I was practicing walking meditation. The leaves are falling just like rain. I stepped on one leaf and I stopped. Picked it up, looked at it and smiled, realizing that that leaf has always been there. Every autumn the leaves fall, and every spring they remanifest themselves. They stay throughout the summer, and then in autumn they fall to the ground again. Further on says, 7 years after the death of my mother, I woke up suddenly one night, went outside and saw the moon shining brightly. At 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, the moon is always expressing something deep, calm and tender, like the love of a mother for a child. I felt bathed in her love, and I realized that my mother is still alive and will always be alive. If that alone doesn't make you freaking love Thich Nhat Hanh, I don't know what will. Oh, I love this! On page 107, when you practice walking meditation, ask a tree or a flower to tell you about the Avatamsaka Realm. I'm sure it will show you the way in. And I love this. I want to try this. I want to explore this. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. So, okay. This is the last 2 pages of the book. And this was freaking everything. So, before I go into it, I want to read to you something that I wrote in my notes upon finishing this book. Today, it was the 1st of November, I spent the day at the beach with a friend, diving into so much deep conversation, which has just been reiterated back at me with the last chapters I was left to read from this book. A self-reflection of the knowledge I hold, that has become of me, that I am. This deep spiritual self I hold has never felt so strong, and I have to agree that Through traveling in Asia and lately being in Byron, I feel incredibly healed from the inside out. And with these 2 final pages, what a fucking beautiful way to end this book. Thich Nhat Hanh is by far one of my favorite authors. Holy shit. Holy shit. On page 117 and 118. Where is the self? Where is the non-self? Who is your first love? Who is the last? What is the difference between our first love and our last love? How can anything die? What is the connection between that nun at the 2-name pagoda and my beloved who was still in the nunnery in Hue? Wherever there is form, there is deception. If you want to touch my love, please touch yourself. Whether water is overflowing or evaporating depends on the season. Whether it is round or square depends on the container. Flowing in spring, solid in winter, its immensity cannot be measured. Its source cannot be found. In an emerald creek, water hides a dragon king. In a cold pond, it contains the bright full moon. On the bodhisattva's willow branch, it sprays the nectar of compassion. 1 drop of water is enough to purify and transform the world in the 10 directions. Can you grasp water through form? Can you trace it to its source? Do you know where it will end? It's the same with your first love. Your first love has no beginning and will have no end. It is still alive in the stream of your being. Don't believe it was only in the past. Look deeply into the nature of your first love and you will see the Buddha. I love this book. This book just screams self-love. It screams self-reflection to me, which we're always going to be doing. We're always going to be reassessing. We need to dive into experiences, good and bad, to learn about who we are. Challenges are going to be there for us to see what we become out of them. And I think every time we're butterflies. We are all on our own separate journeys, but in actual fact, our end goal is all the same. If you haven't read this book, I highly recommend that you do. I loved it so much, and I cannot recommend Thich Nhat Hanh enough. Alright, so I hope you all have a beautiful day, that you dive into nature and dive into yourself. As usual, bye!